The joke that echoed through the void started like most catastrophic events in human history, with boredom, alcohol, and a desperate attempt at humor. Logan Hart had been stationed at Outpost Viridian 9 for 3 years, 4 months, and 17 days. Not that he was counting. The remote interplanetary station orbited an unremarkable gas giant at the edge of what spacers called the Blood Sector, a region of abandoned space that had once been the front line of humanity's most brutal interspecies war. A conflict with an ancient race called the Varkari, known colloquially as vampires for their distinctive feeding methods and photosensitivity. A war that humanity had supposedly won. A war that had supposedly ended with the complete extinction of the Varkari race. That was nearly 8 centuries ago. Now, in the year 2438, the Blood Sector was nothing more than a graveyard of derelict ships and forgotten outposts like Viridian 9, staffed by unfortunate engineers like Logan, who drew the short straw in the Human Collective Union's assignment lottery. Another thrilling day in paradise, Logan muttered to himself as he recalibrated the station's atmospheric filtration system for the 3rd time that week. At 29, with unruly brown hair that constantly fell into his eyes and a perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, Logan looked exactly like what he was, a maintenance engineer who spent too much time talking to machines and not enough time talking to people. His particular affliction was a habit of narrating his own life, a quirk that had earned him the station-wide nickname of Monologue. It didn't help that he'd turned his personal maintenance live streams into something of a comedy show for the 43 other poor souls stationed on Viridian 9. Today, on Logan's extremely exciting engineering exploits, we'll be fixing the same damn filter that I've fixed twice this week, Logan announced to the camera drone hovering near his shoulder. I think Captain Jex is deliberately sabotaging it, just to watch me crawl through these ducts like a rat in a maze. The small chat window on his heads-up display showed a handful of crewmates had tuned in, most leaving laughing emojis or mock-serious questions about the critical importance of atmospheric integrity. You know what the worst part about this posting is? Logan continued, grunting as he wrestled with a particularly stubborn bolt. It's not the recycled food or the constant equipment failures, or even Captain Jex's mandatory team-building exercises. He paused for dramatic effect. It's the dating pool. 43 people, half of whom are married, a quarter of whom I can't stand, and the rest. He shook his head solemnly. Well, let's just say I've exhausted all possibilities. He reached deeper into the filtration unit, his voice echoing metallically through the duct. Sometimes I think about those old vampire legends. You know, the ones where they could sense a compatible mate across vast distances. Those Varkari war brides they used to tell stories about? Logan chuckled. The ancient texts in the database say they were genetically engineered to bond with their chosen partners. 1 bite and you're married for life. Sounds more efficient than the dating app, honestly. His audience responded with a mixture of laughter and mock horror. Someone named Ensign Chen posted, "Careful what you wish for. Heart." Logan finished the repair and crawled backward out of the duct, wiping sweat from his brow as he stared directly into the camera drone. I'm just saying, he continued, his voice dropping to a theatrical whisper as he gestured toward the viewport behind him that showed the endless void of the Blood Sector. If there's any ancient vampire war bride left in this haunted sector, I could use a wife to do my damn laundry. The chat exploded with laughter and jokes. Logan signed off with his usual salute and quip about keeping the air breathable so you ungrateful lot can continue to waste it. The live stream ended, and Logan returned to his quarters, forgetting the throwaway joke almost immediately. 3 days later, the proximity alarms of Outpost Viridian 9 screamed to life. An unknown vessel had emerged from the depths of the Blood Sector. It was massive, ancient, and unmistakably Varkari in origin, a warship thought to belong to a species that had been extinct for 800 years. And it was broadcasting a single message, directed specifically at Logan Hart. Accepted. Binding initiated. The chaos that erupted on Viridian 9 was immediate and absolute. The station went into full lockdown protocols, with Captain Mara Jex personally calming Logan while he was in the shower. "Hart! Get your ass to the command center now!" Her voice echoed through his quarters. "And bring that smart mouth that apparently just invited an extinct alien species to our doorstep." Logan stood frozen, soap suds sliding down his chest, trying to process what he was hearing. "Captain, I don't—" "Now, Hart!" 20 minutes later, wrapped in a uniform he hadn't properly fastened, Logan stood in the command center staring at the massive holographic display of the alien vessel. It was unlike anything in the modern human collective fleet, all organic curves and spine-like protrusions, with a deep crimson energy signature pulsing through what appeared to be vein-like conduits across its hull. Captain Jex was a tall, imposing woman with close-cropped silver hair and the kind of perpetually stern expression that made even decorated officers straighten their posture. She turned to Logan with eyes that could have cut through the station's hull. "Explain to me why an 800-year-old Varkari warship is sending messages directly to you." "Maintenance engineer, third-class Hart." Logan swallowed hard. I may have made a joke during my live stream." "A joke," Jex repeated flatly. "About needing a wife and mentioning vampire war brides. But it was just a stupid—" "You proposed to an extinct alien species?" The command center went utterly silent. Dr. Tamsin Rook, the station's lead xenobiologist, stepped forward from a console. Unlike the captain, Dr. Rook's expression held fascination rather than fury, with her wild mane of curly auburn hair and perpetually ink-stained fingers. She looked more like an eccentric artist than a scientist. "Captain, this is extraordinary," Dr. Rook said, her voice barely containing her excitement. "The Varkari were believed completely extinct. If this ship contains even one living specimen—" "It contains one that apparently believes it's engaged to Hart," Captain Jex cut in. "Actually," a communications officer interrupted, "they're sending something. A small craft has detached from the main vessel and is approaching the station." Logan felt the blood drain from his face. "Captain, I swear I was just joking. I didn't think—" "That much is abundantly clear." "Hart," Jex snapped. Then she sighed, her tactical mind already moving past blame to solution. "Unfortunately, we need to deal with the situation at hand. Dr. Rook, prepare your containment protocols. Security team to Docking Bay 3. Hart, you're with me." "Me?" Logan squeaked. "Shouldn't I stay as far away as possible from whatever's coming?" Captain Jex fixed him with a withering stare. "You started this, engineer. You'll face the consequences." The small craft turned out to be less of a ship and more of a pod. An organic-looking capsule, roughly the size of a standard escape pod, that attached itself to the station's hull near an auxiliary airlock. By the time Logan, Captain Jex, Dr. Rook, and a team of 6 heavily armed security officers arrived, the pod had already melded with the station's exterior, creating what appeared to be a seamless, membranous connection. "It's reconfiguring our airlock at the molecular level," Dr. Rook whispered, scanning the structure with her handheld devices. "Incredible. It's almost like—" The membrane bulged, then parted like lips, revealing a dark passage into the pod. The security team raised their weapons. "Hold fire unless I give the order," Captain Jex commanded. From the darkness of the passage came a figure that would haunt Logan's dreams for years to come, though not for the reasons he initially thought. She was tall and lithe, with skin so pale it seemed to have a faint luminescence. Her hair, black as the void itself, hung in intricate braids adorned with what appeared to be small metallic devices. Her eyes, however, were what made the security team collectively step back. They were entirely black except for vertical pupils that glowed a deep crimson, like twin laser sights seeking a target. And they were fixed directly on Logan. She wore what could only be described as armor, though it seemed to shift and move with her like a second skin, a complex integration of what appeared to be both technological and biological components in deep shades of crimson and obsidian. She stepped forward with predatory grace, and Logan noticed with a surge of primal fear that her canines were distinctly elongated. "The vampire legends didn't mention they were hot," someone muttered behind Logan. He was too terrified to identify which security officer had spoken. The woman, the Varkari, stopped precisely 3 steps into the station. She surveyed the assembled humans with casual disinterest before returning her gaze to Logan. When she spoke, her voice was surprisingly melodious, with an accent Logan couldn't place. "I am Selena Vire, Warbride of House Varkari, Sentinel bloodline." She tilted her head slightly. "You called." "I answered." Logan opened his mouth, but no sound emerged. Captain Jex stepped forward. "I am Captain Mara Jex of the Human Collective Union. This station is under HCU jurisdiction, and we were not aware of any surviving Varkari. Your presence here violates several interspecies treaties and—" Selena didn't even look at the captain. "I am not here for you. I am here for him." She pointed one long, talon-like finger directly at Logan. "My husband called, and by the blood oath, I have come." "I'm not your husband," Logan finally managed to choke out. Selena's expression didn't change, but something like amusement flickered in those terrifying eyes. "You sent your voice into the void. You stated your need for a war bride. I have accepted. The binding is initiated." "It was a joke," Logan protested. "The blood oath knows no humor," Selena replied simply. "It is binding." Dr. Rook stepped forward cautiously. "Fascinating. You've been in some form of stasis? For 800 years?" For the first time, Selena acknowledged someone other than Logan. "Yes, the great betrayal forced many of us into the long sleep. I was awakened by his call." "My call couldn't possibly have reached your ship," Logan argued. "It was just a live stream within the station." "Your genetic signature was projected with your image," Selena explained, as if to a child. "The warship recognized the pattern. You are of the bloodline." "What bloodline?" Captain Jex demanded. Selena finally turned to regard the captain. "He carries the blood of General Eric Hart, the betrayer, the last groom." Her gaze returned to Logan. "The oath was made. It was broken. Now it will be fulfilled." Logan felt the room spinning slightly. "Hart is a common name. There's no way I'm related to some ancient general from 800. "Your genetic pattern is a match," Selena stated with absolute certainty. "The ship does not make mistakes." "This is absurd," Captain Jex declared. "Engineer Hart is not going anywhere with you, and you will explain exactly how a Varkari warship has remained undetected for 8 centuries, and why it's appearing now." Selena took another step forward. The security team tensed, weapons rising slightly. "The explanation is for my husband alone," she said. "And I have not come to take him. I have come to protect what is mine." "I am not yours," Logan insisted, finding his voice again. "Look, there's been a misunderstanding. I'm not this general's descendant. I'm not your husband, and I certainly don't need protection." Selena moved so quickly that no one had time to react. One moment she was standing 3 paces away. The next, she was directly in front of Logan, her face inches from his. The security team shouted, weapons trained on her back, but she paid them no mind. "You do not understand the forces you have awakened," she whispered, her breath cool against his face. "But you will." Before anyone could stop her, she pressed her palm to Logan's chest, directly over his heart. He felt a sharp sting, like the prick of 1,000 tiny needles, and then a spreading warmth that raced through his veins with alarming speed. "What did you do to me?" he gasped, staggering backward. "The first stage of the binding," Selena replied calmly. "Your blood now carries my markers. We are linked." "Shoot her," Captain Jex ordered. The security team opened fire, but Selena moved with impossible speed, dodging the energy blasts with fluid grace. She didn't attack, simply evaded, until she stood once again by the organic airlock. "Violence is unnecessary," she stated. "I will return to my ship. But know this," her gaze locked with Logan's. "We are bound now. Where you go, I will follow. What threatens you, I will destroy. This is the way of the blood oath." With that, she stepped backward into the organic passage. The membrane sealed behind her, and moments later, alarms indicated the pod had detached from the station. "What the hell just happened?" Logan asked, no one in particular. His hand pressed to his chest, where he could still feel the lingering warmth of whatever she had done to him. Dr. Rook was already scanning him with her devices. "She injected you with something. Nanites, perhaps. Or some kind of biological agent. We need to get you to medical immediately." "The warship is moving back to its previous position," a voice announced over the comm. "It's maintaining orbit, but not approaching." Captain Jex's expression was grim. "This is beyond a simple station matter now. I'm contacting HCU Command." She turned to Logan. "And you, Hart, are going to explain exactly how your little joke managed to wake up an extinct alien species with a grudge." Logan stared at the sealed airlock where Selena had disappeared. "Captain, I honestly have no idea." What none of them realized yet was that Selena Vire's appearance was only the beginning. The real catastrophe was still to come. The medical bay of Outpost Viridian 9 was cold, sterile, and currently hosting the most unusual examination in its operational history. Logan sat shirtless on an examination table, while Dr. Rook and two medical technicians ran a battery of tests on him. "This is," Dr. Rook muttered, staring at her screens. "Bad? Deadly? Am I going to turn into a vampire?" Logan asked, only half joking. "Fascinating," Dr. Rook finished. "These aren't nanites as I first thought. They're some form of synthetic biological markers. They've already integrated with your bloodstream and appear to be cataloging your genetic makeup." "Cataloging?" Logan repeated. "Like taking inventory?" "More like mapping. Building connections." Dr. Rook looked up from her screens, eyes bright with scientific curiosity. "Engineer Hart, do you understand what this means? This is our first real insight into Varkari biotechnology. The stories were true. They really did create biological bonds with their chosen mates." "I'm not her mate," Logan protested for what felt like the 100th time. "Can you remove these things from my blood?" Dr. Rook's excitement dimmed slightly. "Not without potentially fatal consequences. These markers have already integrated with your cellular structure. Removing them would be like trying to remove specific grains of salt from a cake after it's been baked." "Great," Logan muttered. "So I'm stuck with vampire biotechnology in my veins because of a stupid joke." The door to the medical bay slid open, and Captain Jex entered, her expression even more severe than usual. "Status report, Doctor." Dr. Rook explained her findings while Logan sat miserably on the examination table, feeling increasingly like a lab specimen rather than a patient. "And these markers?" Captain Jex asked. "What's their purpose?" "Without more information, I can only speculate," Dr. Rook admitted. "But based on what our visitor said about a binding, I believe they create some form of connection between Engineer Hart and the Varkari female." "A tracking device?" Captain Jex suggested. "Possibly. But I suspect it's more complex than that." Dr. Rook scrolled through some readings. "There are changes in his pheromone production, subtle alterations to his nervous system's response patterns. It's as if these markers are preparing his biology for further integration with hers." Logan felt a chill that had nothing to do with the medical bay's temperature. "Integration? What does that mean?" Dr. Rook looked uncomfortable for the first time. "In simple terms, they're making you more compatible with her physiology." "Oh God," Logan groaned. She really does think we're getting married. This is no longer a joke. Hart, Captain Jex said sharply. I've reported the situation to HCU Command. They're sending a specialist team to deal with the Varkari warship and extract you from this situation. Something in her tone made Logan look up. Extract me? What does that mean exactly? Captain Jex didn't meet his eyes. The Varkari were considered the most dangerous species humanity ever encountered. Engineer. The fact that they've returned, with technology we don't understand, and have targeted a human collective citizen. Command is taking this very seriously. They're going to dissect me, aren't they? Logan asked flatly. Don't be dramatic, Captain Jex replied, but her denial lacked conviction. You'll receive the best care the collective can provide. And Selena? Dr. Rook asked quietly. What will happen to her? Captain Jex's expression hardened. That is not our concern, Doctor. The Varkari were declared extinct for good reason. HCU protocol regarding rediscovered hostile species is quite clear. She hasn't actually harmed anyone, Logan pointed out, surprising himself by coming to Selena's defense. She just claimed me, I guess, which is weird and invasive, but not violent. Engineer Hart, may I remind you that you have unknown alien biotechnology currently circulating in your bloodstream without your consent. Captain Jex's voice was icy. Whatever her intentions, she has already violated multiple laws and treaties. Before Logan could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Captain Jex's comm unit activated automatically. Captain to Command Center, came an urgent voice. We have multiple incoming vessels. HCU identification. But there's something wrong with their signatures. Captain Jex was already moving toward the door. Secure Engineer Hart, she ordered the medical staff. No one enters or leaves this bay without my direct authorization. After she left, Logan turned to Dr. Rook. What did she mean about the Varkari being declared extinct, for good reason? I thought they just lost the war. Dr. Rook's expression was troubled. The official history is incomplete. Most of the records from that period are classified. She hesitated. But there have always been rumors in xenobiological circles. Theories that the extinction of the Varkari wasn't just a consequence of war, but a deliberate. The medical bay plunged into darkness, emergency lights activating moments later with a dull red glow. The station-wide comm system crackled. All personnel, battle stations. This is not a drill. We are under attack by unknown. Captain Jex's voice cut off abruptly. The door to the medical bay slid open, and Logan felt his heart skip a beat, expecting to see Selena. Instead, 3 figures in HCU military uniforms entered, their movements stiff and unnatural. Engineer Logan Hart, the lead figure stated, his voice oddly flat. You will come with us. Dr. Rook stepped between Logan and the soldiers. This patient is under medical quarantine by order of Captain Jex. No one is to move him without... The soldier's arm shot out, grabbing Dr. Rook by the throat and lifting her off the ground with inhuman strength. The captain's authority has been superseded. That's when Logan noticed their eyes. All 3 soldiers had the same black sclera, with glowing vertical pupils he had seen in Selena. They're Varkari, he gasped. The soldier holding Dr. Rook turned to look at him, expression empty. We serve the last groom now, as all Varkari must. Put her down, Logan demanded, looking around desperately for a weapon. The soldier tilted his head, as if confused by the order, but then dropped Dr. Rook unceremoniously to the floor. She gasped for air, clutching her throat. You will come, the soldier repeated. The awakening has begun. You are needed. I'm not going anywhere with you, Logan said, backing away. And I'm not this last groom you're talking about. Your denial is irrelevant. Another soldier stated, Your blood carries the marker. The prophecy must be fulfilled. They advanced on Logan, who backed up until he hit the examination table. The medical technicians had already fled through a side door, leaving only him and the still recovering Dr. Rook. "What prophecy?" Logan demanded, stalling for time. "What are you talking about?" "The betrayer's blood will return," the lead soldier intoned, as if reciting something memorized. "The last groom will awaken the sleeping army. The Varkari will rise again." They were almost upon him when the main door exploded inward, in a shower of metal and sparks. Through the smoke stepped a familiar figure, Selena Vire, her armor now fully activated, covering her completely except for her face. The crimson accents pulsed with energy, and in her hands she held what appeared to be twin curved blades that glowed with the same energy. "He is not for you," she stated, her voice eerily calm. The three soldiers turned as one to face her. "Sentinel Selena Vire," the leader acknowledged. "You have found the last groom as foretold. Your duty is complete. Surrender him to us." "My duty is to my husband," Selena replied. "No other may claim him." "The prophecy supersedes your oath," another soldier argued. "The Waking Queen commands it." "The Waking Queen," Selena's eyes narrowed. "Nixa has awakened?" "All will awaken now that the last groom has been found," the lead soldier confirmed. "Surrender him, or be declared oathbreaker." Selena's response was not verbal. She moved with the same blinding speed Logan had witnessed earlier, but this time with lethal intent. Her blades sliced through the lead soldier's armor as if it were paper, revealing not blood, but a strange luminescent fluid that spattered across the floor. The other two soldiers attacked in unison, moving with the same unnatural speed. Selena parried their strikes, her body flowing like liquid between their attacks. Logan stared in horrified fascination at the battle unfolding before him. It was like watching three predators fight in fast forward. Dr. Rook crawled toward him. "We need to go," she rasped, her voice rough from the soldier's grip. "Now, while they're distracted." Logan tore his gaze away from the fight. "Go where? The station's under attack!" "Your quarters," Dr. Rook said urgently. "I need to access your personal comm unit. There's something you need to see. Something about your family history that might explain all this." Logan hesitated, looking back at Selena, who was now fighting defensively, outnumbered but still holding her own. "We can't just leave her." "She came here for you," Dr. Rook reminded him. "If we stay, they'll take you, and she'll die trying to stop them. Our best chance is to move while they're fighting." Recognizing the logic, Logan nodded. They slipped through the side door the technicians had used, entering a maintenance corridor that ran parallel to the main hallway. They could hear sounds of fighting throughout the station, shouts, energy weapon discharges, and occasional explosions. "What's happening out there?" Logan whispered as they crept through the dimly lit corridor. "I think the Varkari have infiltrated the HCU response team," Dr. Rook replied. "Those soldiers, they weren't human anymore, but they weren't fully Varkari either. It was like they were converted somehow." Logan felt sick. "And there's a whole ship of them out there?" "Maybe more than one now," Dr. Rook said grimly. "If these converted soldiers arrived in HCU vessels." They reached a junction, and Logan paused, trying to orient himself in the emergency lighting. "This way," he said, pointing left. "There's a maintenance shaft that leads directly to the residential level." They had just turned the corner when Logan felt a strange sensation, a pull, almost like a physical tug on his insides. He stumbled, pressing a hand to his chest. "What's wrong?" Dr. Rook asked urgently. "I don't know, I just felt—" The sensation came again, stronger this time, and with it a certainty that bloomed in his mind. Selena's in trouble. Dr. Rook's eyes widened. "The biological markers. They must create some kind of empathic link." "She's hurt," Logan said, the knowledge settling into him with strange clarity. "She's fighting something. Someone stronger than those soldiers." "We need to keep moving," Dr. Rook insisted. "Whatever is happening to her, We can't help if we're captured too. Logan nodded reluctantly, pushing down the bizarre concern he felt for a woman, an alien, he had met only hours ago. They continued through the maintenance shaft, emerging eventually into the eerily quiet residential level. Logan's quarters were untouched, the door sliding open at his palm scan. Once inside, Dr. Rook immediately went to his personal terminal. "What are you looking for?" Logan asked, watching as she bypassed the standard interface and began entering complex commands. Before Captain Jex contacted HCU Command, "I did some digging in the xenobiology database," Dr. Rook explained, fingers flying over the interface. There were references to classified files about the Varkari War, specifically about a General Auric Hart. Logan frowned. The name Selena mentioned. My supposed ancestor. Yes, most of the files were redacted, but I found something. She trailed off as the screen displayed a security warning. Damn, I need higher clearance. Logan moved beside her. Let me try something. He entered his engineering override codes, designed for emergency systems access. The terminal processed the input, then displayed a new warning. Genetic verification required for classified historical archives, the system announced. Logan exchanged a look with Dr. Rook. That's not standard. No, she agreed. These must be family-restricted files, archives that can only be accessed by direct descendants. With a sense of foreboding, Logan pressed his palm to the scanner. The system hummed, then beeped affirmatively. Genetic pattern confirmed. Welcome. Heart bloodline designate. The screen filled with files, hundreds of them, dating back centuries, images, videos, text documents, all labeled with military classification markers. Oh my God, Dr. Rook breathed. Logan, do you know what this means? Your family has been keeping these records for generations. Logan stared at the dates on the files. 800 years of classified information about a war everyone thinks is ancient history. He selected the earliest dated file, labeled simply, The Binding. The terminal displayed a video recording. A man in an ancient military uniform stood before what appeared to be a council chamber. His features were different from Logan's, but there was a resemblance, something in the set of the jaw, the shape of the eyes. General Auric Hart, final testimony regarding Operation Blood Oath. The man identified himself. May this record serve as both confession and warning to my descendants. Logan felt a chill run down his spine as the long-dead general continued. The Human Council authorized the infiltration of Varkari society through their most sacred ritual, the Blood Oath Binding. I volunteered to undergo genetic modification to make myself compatible with their highest bloodline, to bind myself to a Varkari warbride and gain access to their biological technology. The general's expression was haunted. The binding was successful. I was joined to Sentinel Nixa Vire, a genetic elite of their warrior caste. Through our connection, I learned of their weaknesses, their defensive positions, and the location of their stasis chambers, where much of their population slept while their warships patrolled. Logan felt sick as he began to understand. He betrayed them. He used their marriage ritual as a weapon. The Council ordered the destruction of all stasis facilities. General Hart continued on screen. Billions of sleeping Varkari, eliminated with targeted fusion strikes. The awake population was too small to sustain itself without the sleepers. Victory was assured. The general's face hardened. But the Council didn't understand the nature of the blood oath. When Nixa realized my betrayal, she did not die as expected. The genetic bond between us transformed. Her pain became rage. Her love became hatred. But the bond remained. She escaped with a handful of her elite warriors, swearing a new oath, that she would return when the Hart bloodline had forgotten its sin, and extract vengeance not just on humanity, but on her own kind who had allowed themselves to be deceived. The recording crackled with age. I record this warning for my descendants. The blood oath cannot be broken, only transformed. If Nixa or any of her followers survive in stasis, they will return one day, and they will seek the last groom, the descendant who completes the circle of betrayal and retribution. The recording ended, leaving Logan and Dr. Rook in stunned silence. He committed genocide, Logan finally whispered. And my family has been hiding the truth for 8 centuries. Not just hiding it, Dr. Rook pointed out, scrolling through other files. Look at these: genetic monitoring programs, surveillance protocols. Your family has been working with the HCU for generations, watching for signs of Varkari return. Before Logan could respond, the door to his quarters exploded inward. Through the smoke stepped a figure that made Selena look positively friendly by comparison. She was taller than Selena, with the same pale skin and black eyes. But where Selena's features held a certain predatory beauty, this Varkari's face was a mask of cold hatred. Her armor was more extensive, covering her entirely in what appeared to be living metal, with pulsing veins of energy that glowed, not crimson like Selena's, but a deep, venomous green. "At last," she said, her voice like shards of ice. "The betrayer's blood, the last groom." Logan didn't need to ask who she was. He knew, with bone-deep certainty, that he was looking at Nixa Vire, the war bride his ancestor had betrayed, the architect of whatever was happening to the station. "Nixa," he acknowledged, somehow finding his voice despite his terror. She tilted her head, studying him with those terrible eyes. "You know me. Good. It will make your understanding of what comes next more complete." Dr. Rook stepped in front of Logan protectively. "Whatever happened in the past, he had no part in it. Your quarrel is with people who died centuries ago." Nixa's gaze flicked to Dr. Rook with cold disinterest. "The blood oath transcends time, human. His veins carry the betrayer's essence. His existence is in continuation of the sin." "And what about Selena?" Logan asked, desperate to keep her talking while he frantically tried to think of a way out. "She's Varkari, too. She believes in the blood oath." "Selena is young, naive." Nixa's lip curled in disdain. "She slept through the great betrayal, awakened only by your careless call. She knows nothing of what your bloodline did to our people." "And the soldiers?" Dr. Rook asked. "The ones who look human but aren't?" A terrible smile spread across Nixa's face. "My children, humans remade through the reverse of the process your ancestor used against us. Their blood now serves the true Varkari purpose." "Which is what, exactly?" Logan demanded, his fear giving way to anger. "Revenge? Destroying random humans who had nothing to do with what happened centuries ago?" "Not destruction," Nixa corrected. "Transformation. Humanity engineered us to be perfect companions, perfect soldiers. We will return that gift by remaking humanity in our image." She stepped forward, raising a hand that morphed into something resembling a syringe. "Beginning with you, last groom, your blood will complete the circle. Your transformation will signal the awakening of all my sleeping children." Logan backed away, but there was nowhere to go in the small quarters. Dr. Rook looked around desperately for a weapon, but found nothing useful. "You don't have to do this," Logan tried. "Whatever happened, it was centuries ago. We can find another way." "There is no other way," Nixa stated with absolute conviction. "The blood oath demands completion." She lunged forward with supernatural speed, but before she could reach Logan, the wall beside them exploded outward. Through the newly created hole tumbled Selena, her armor damaged and leaking the same luminescent fluid Logan had seen from the soldiers. She positioned herself between Logan and Nixa, her blades raised defensively. "He is not yours to claim, Queen Mother," Selena growled, using a title that made Nixa's eyes flash with rage. "You dare address me so, child? You who slept while our kind was slaughtered?" Nixa's armor rippled, forming blades similar to Selena's, but larger, crackling with green energy. "You know nothing of what he represents." "I know that he called, and I answered," Selena replied. "The blood oath is mine." Nixa laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Your oath is meaningless. He is the betrayer reborn. His blood will serve a greater purpose than your pathetic bonding." They clashed in a blur of motion, their blades sending sparks of crimson and green energy across the room. Logan pulled Dr. Rook away from the fight, toward the hole Selena had created in the wall. "We need to get to the command center," Dr. Rook shouted over the sounds of battle. "If we can access the main communications array, we might be able to call for real HCU help." Logan hesitated, looking back at Selena, who was clearly outmatched by the older, more powerful Varkari. "She's losing." "We can't help her by staying," Dr. Rook insisted. "Those files in your family archive, they might contain information on Varkari weaknesses, ways to stop Nixa." Reluctantly, Logan nodded. They slipped through the hole in the wall, emerging into a corridor that showed signs of recent fighting, scorch marks from energy weapons, and worse, smears of both human blood and the luminescent Varkari fluid. They moved cautiously through the station, avoiding the main corridors and using Logan's knowledge of maintenance routes to navigate toward the command center. Occasionally, they encountered station personnel, some hiding, others moving with purpose toward defensive positions. The situation became clearer as they gathered information. Approximately 30 converted humans had boarded from what appeared to be a hijacked HCU response vessel. They were systematically taking control of key systems and rounding up station personnel. "For conversion, presumably," Dr. Rook said grimly. "If Nixa can transform humans into those hybrid soldiers, then she's building an army," Logan finished, "starting with Viridian 9, but not ending here." When they finally reached the command center, they found it in shambles. Bodies of both station crew and converted soldiers littered the floor. Captain Jex was nowhere to be seen. "The communications array," Dr. Rook urged, moving toward the central console. Logan followed, but stopped when he spotted a familiar figure slumped against a wall. Captain Jex, badly wounded but still alive. He rushed to her side. "Captain, what happened?" Jex's eyes fluttered open, focusing on him with difficulty. "Hart, you're still human." "For now," Logan confirmed. "Captain, we need to contact HCU Command. Warn them about what's happening." Jex coughed, blood speckling her lips. "Can't. Communications. Compromised. They're in the system." She grabbed his arm with surprising strength. "Hart, listen. The Varkari ship. It has a transmitter, powerful enough to reach the entire sector." "How does that help us?" Logan asked. "The original HCU operation," Jex managed. "Your ancestor. He used the Varkari's own systems against them. The warship. It will recognize your genetic signature, like the woman said." Understanding dawned. "You want me to go to the Varkari ship? That's suicide." "Only chance," Jex insisted. "Stop the Queen, before she converts everyone." Her grip weakened. "Code in my personal files. Operation Blood Oath Reversal. Your family's failsafe." Dr. Rook joined them, having overheard. "Captain, we can't send him to that ship alone. It's—" "Not alone," came a voice from the doorway. They turned to see Selena, her armor even more damaged than before, leaning against the frame for support. Her eyes, however, remained fierce and determined. "My ship," she stated simply. "I will take him." Logan looked between the dying captain and the wounded Varkari warrior. "What about Nixa?" "Temporarily contained," Selena replied, a hint of grim satisfaction in her tone. "I collapsed the section between us. It will not hold her long." Captain Jex's eyes narrowed with suspicion. "Why would you help us against your own kind?" Selena's gaze shifted to Logan. "He is my kind now. The blood oath has begun, It cannot be undone. And if I asked you to help me use your ship's systems against Nixa? Logan asked carefully. Would you still help me then? Something complex flickered across Selena's features. The Queen Mother has violated the sacred purpose of the Blood Oath. She would use it for destruction rather than union. She straightened, seeming to come to a decision. Yes, I will help you. Captain Jex's grip on Logan's arm tightened one last time. Be careful, Hart. The reversal protocol. Last resort only. It could kill you both. Her eyes drifted shut, her breathing shallow but stable. Dr. Rook checked her pulse. She's unconscious but alive. I'll stay with her. Try to help the wounded. Logan nodded, then turned to Selena. So, how do we get to your ship? For the first time since her arrival, Selena's lips curved in what might have been a smile. We fly, husband. Fly turned out to be a generous description for their journey to the Varkari warship. The small craft, Selena called a transfer pod, was indeed organic, responding to her touch and voice in ways that made Logan both fascinated and disturbed. It enveloped them in a protective membrane that he tried very hard not to think of as digestive. Then launched itself from the station with a motion that felt disturbingly similar to swallowing. This is the most horrifying thing I've ever experienced, Logan commented as they hurtled through space toward the massive warship. Through the translucent membrane, he could see the station growing smaller behind them, and ahead, the looming organic curves of the Varkari vessel. The discomfort is temporary, Selena replied, seemingly unbothered by their mode of transport. The pod connects directly to our nervous systems. It functions better with Varkari biology. Is that why it feels like I'm being slowly digested? Logan asked, only half joking. Selena looked at him with what might have been amusement. It is not digesting you. It is sampling, learning your biology to better serve you. That's not as reassuring as you think it is. They fell silent as the pod approached the warship. Up close, the vessel was even more impressive and unsettling. A massive construction of what appeared to be both mechanical and biological components, with structures that resembled bones, muscles, and veins all working in concert. How many Varkari are on board? Logan asked, as they neared what appeared to be an opening in the hull. None, Selena replied. I am the only one who was awakened. The ship itself is alive, but in a dormant state. Alive? Logan repeated weakly. The ship is alive? All Varkari technology is partially biological, Selena explained. The warships are our greatest achievement, semi-sentient vessels that bond with their crews. The pod entered the opening, which sealed behind them like a wound healing. They traveled through what Logan could only describe as arteries, tunnels that pulsed with the same crimson energy he had seen in Selena's armor. Finally, the pod deposited them in what appeared to be a central chamber, the membrane dissolving around them to release them onto a solid floor. Logan staggered slightly, disoriented by the transition. Selena, despite her injuries, moved with confidence through the chamber, approaching what appeared to be a central column of pulsing light. The ship's primary neural node, she explained, placing her hand against the column. The light responded, flowing up her arm and across her damaged armor, which began to repair itself. It recognizes me as crew. Logan looked around the vast chamber. The walls were lined with what appeared to be thousands of translucent pods, each containing a humanoid figure suspended in luminescent fluid. Are those more Varkari? He asked, his voice hushed. Selena followed his gaze. Yes, warriors, scientists, civilians. A small colony ship, placed in stasis when the war began going poorly. Her expression darkened. They should have awakened centuries ago when the danger passed. Something interrupted the revival sequence. Logan thought of his ancestors' confession. The betrayal, he murmured. They were meant to sleep forever. Selena turned to him sharply. You know of this? Reluctantly, Logan nodded. I found records. My ancestor, he did something terrible to your people. Used the blood oath as a weapon. The great betrayal, Selena said softly. We were told it was a myth, a story to warn against trusting outsiders. She studied him. You are not what I expected. Logan Hart. What did you expect? A warrior, like the betrayer, a manipulator. Her head tilted. Instead, I find a man who speaks to machines and makes jokes when he is afraid. Logan wasn't sure how to respond to that. We need to access the ship's transmission systems. Captain Jex said there was a way to use it against Nixa. Selena nodded, turning back to the neural column. The ship can broadcast on frequencies that penetrate all known defenses. It was designed to coordinate our fleets across vast distances. She placed her hand on the column again. What do you wish to transmit? I'm not sure, Logan admitted. Jex mentioned something called Operation Blood Oath Reversal, a failsafe my family created. Selena's eyes narrowed. Another human weapon against my kind. I don't know, Logan said honestly. But Nixa is converting humans into hybrid soldiers. If we don't stop her, she'll build an army and spread across human space. There will be war again. And you would use Varkari technology against Varkari, Selena observed, her tone unreadable. Logan met her gaze steadily. I would stop the cycle of betrayal and revenge. If I can. Humans and Varkari have both committed atrocities. It has to end somewhere. For a long moment, Selena was silent, studying him with those unsettling eyes. Then, to his surprise, she nodded. The ship requires your genetic authentication to access its deepest systems, she said. Place your hand beside mine. Logan hesitated only briefly, before stepping forward to place his palm against the glowing column. Immediately, he felt a jolt of energy course through him, not painful, but intensely strange, as if the ship were reading his entire genetic history. The chamber's lighting changed, shifting from crimson to a brighter, golden hue. Displays appeared in the air around them, showing what appeared to be the ship's systems in a language Logan couldn't read. It recognizes you, Selena said, sounding faintly surprised. As the compatible one. Compatible? Logan repeated. Before Selena could explain, the displays shifted again, now showing images of the station. Nixa and her converted soldiers were systematically taking control, herding humans into what appeared to be conversion chambers they had set up in the cargo bays. We're out of time, Logan said urgently. How do I access the transmission systems? Selena guided him through the Varkari interface, which responded to both touch and thought in ways that were remarkably intuitive once he stopped trying to understand the alien script. Soon, they had accessed what appeared to be the ship's communications array. The failsafe code, Logan muttered. How do I input it without knowing what it is? The ship is connected to the station systems, Selena pointed out. It can access your captain's files. Following her guidance, Logan found himself navigating through the station's database, through the Varkari ship systems, a bizarre merging of technologies that somehow worked seamlessly together. He found Captain Jex's personal files, and, within them, a heavily encrypted document labeled Heart Bloodline Contingency, Operation Blood Oath Reversal. This is it, he said, opening the file. The document contained a complex genetic sequence, along with instructions that made Logan's blood run cold. The reversal protocol was designed to sever the blood oath by targeting the specific genetic markers that enable the bond. He read aloud. When activated, it will destroy all active Varkari binding technologies within broadcast range. He looked up at Selena, understanding the implications. This would kill you, and probably me too, since your markers are in my bloodstream. Selena's expression was solemn. It would destroy the basis of all Varkari society. The blood oath is central to our existence. Then we can't use it, Logan decided. There has to be another way. What about the truth? Selena suggested, gesturing to the displays showing Nixa's assault on the station. She uses the betrayal to fuel her rage, to justify her actions. But the sleeping ones do not know what happened. They follow her because she is Queen Mother, the oldest awakened. Logan considered this. If we could wake them, show them what really happened, both the human betrayal and Nixa's response, they might choose differently. Selena finished. The blood oath is sacred, but it is meant for creation, not destruction. What Nixa does perverts our deepest beliefs. Can we do that? Wake them and show them the truth? Selena nodded slowly. The ship contains the complete historical record of our people, and your genetic signature can access both human and Varkari archives. Together, we could create a true accounting, one that neither side has been willing to face. Logan took a deep breath. Then let's do it. Wake your people and tell them the truth. They worked quickly, compiling records from both the ship's archives and the classified files Logan's family had kept hidden for centuries. The full story emerged, a tale of fear, manipulation, genocide, and twisted vengeance that had spanned 800 years. The Human Council had feared the Varkari's biological technology and their rapid expansion. Rather than seeking peaceful coexistence, they had authorized Operation Blood Oath, a plan to infiltrate Varkari society through their most sacred ritual. General Arik Hart had been genetically modified to be compatible with the Varkari elite, specifically targeting Nixa, a high-ranking sentinel from one of their oldest bloodlines. The plan had worked. Through their bond, Hart had gained access to critical Varkari information, including the locations of their stasis facilities, where billions of their kind slept during long interstellar journeys. The Human Council had launched simultaneous strikes on all known facilities, effectively committing genocide against a race that had never actually attacked humanity. But they had underestimated the blood oath itself. When Nixa discovered the betrayal, the shock should have killed her. The bond was that deep. Instead, her grief and rage had transformed the bond into something new and terrible. She had escaped with a handful of followers, vowing to return when humanity had forgotten their crime. For centuries, she had slept, waiting for the perfect moment. The Hart family, knowing the danger, had worked with the HCU to monitor for any sign of Varkari return, and had developed the reversal protocol as a last resort. It's ready, Logan finally said, looking at the complete record they had assembled. We can broadcast this to all Varkari systems, including the sleepers here, and any of Nixa's forces on the station. Selena placed her hand over his on the neural column. It may not be enough. Nixa's hatred has had centuries to grow, and your people may not accept their role in this atrocity. We have to try, Logan insisted. Otherwise, we're just continuing the cycle. They initiated the broadcast. Throughout the ship, the stasis pods began to glow brighter as their occupants were gradually awakened. On the displays showing the station, they could see Nixa and her soldiers pause, receiving the transmission directly through their biological systems. Now we wait, Selena said quietly. They didn't have to wait long. The displays showed chaos erupting on the station as Nixa's forces fragmented, some continuing their assault, others standing down in apparent confusion. Nixa herself was shown raging, destroying equipment and converted soldiers alike in her fury. She's coming, Selena said with certainty. She will not allow this truth to spread. As if summoned by her words, alarms blared throughout the ship. Something was approaching, a small craft similar to the one that had brought them, but moving with much greater speed and purpose. She's boarding, Logan realized. Can we seal the ship against her? Selena shook her head. She is Queen Mother. Her genetic authority supersedes mine. What about mine? Logan asked. The ship recognized me. Can we use that? Possibly, Selena acknowledged. But we would need to access the ship's deepest protocols, the ones that govern the blood oath itself. Before they could explore that option further, the chamber shuddered. A section of the wall tore open, and through the breach stepped Nixa. Her armor now fully transformed into something monstrous, more weapon than protection, with pulsing green veins that seemed to be consuming her form rather than enhancing it. "Traitors!" she snarled, her voice distorted. "You would rewrite history to absolve the betrayer's blood?" "Not absolve," Logan countered, stepping forward despite his fear. "Acknowledge. Both sides committed terrible wrongs. The cycle has to end. Nixa." "It will end," she agreed, advancing on them. "When humanity is remade in our image, when the betrayer's bloodline is erased." Selena moved to intercept her, but Nixa batted her aside with enhanced strength, sending her crashing into the neural column. Logan found himself facing the enraged Varkari queen alone. "Your ancestor took everything from me," Nixa hissed, her face inches from his. "My people, my future, my very self. The blood oath was meant to create life, to join our species in harmony. He turned it into a weapon of extinction. And now you're doing the same thing," Logan pointed out, backing away. "Converting humans against their will, continuing the violence." "It is justice," Nixa insisted. "It's revenge," Logan countered. "And it won't bring back what you lost." Nixa's hand shot out, grabbing him by the throat and lifting him off the ground. "Nothing will bring back what I lost, but your death will begin the cleansing." As Logan struggled for breath, his hand brushed against the neural column behind him. Instantly, he felt a connection, the ship responding to his touch, to his desperation. Memories flooded his mind. Not his own, but the ship's. Centuries of watching, waiting, preserving its sleeping cargo while recording the universe around it. And with those memories came understanding. The blood oath wasn't just a binding ritual or a weapon. It was a fundamental aspect of Varkari biology, a way of connecting that humans had never truly comprehended. What General Hart had done wasn't just betrayal. It was the equivalent of turning a person's own heart against them. But the ship had been designed to facilitate the oath, not pervert it. And somewhere in its systems was the original purpose: connection, not control. With the last of his strength, Logan pressed his palm flat against the column, projecting his realization, his need. The ship responded, the golden light intensifying around them. Nixa's grip faltered as the light enveloped her. "What are you doing?" she demanded, her voice suddenly uncertain. "Completing the circle," Logan gasped. "Not with death, with truth." The light surrounded them completely now, forming a direct connection between Logan, Nixa, and the ship itself. Through that connection flowed the full, unfiltered experience of the blood oath, not as a weapon or a chain, but as it was meant to be, a bridge between different beings, a sharing of self that transcended physical form. Nixa experienced General Hart's fear, his conflict, his ultimate surrender to the Council's demands, and his deep remorse in the years that followed, the burden he passed to his descendants. Logan experienced Nixa's devastating loss, her transformation through grief, the centuries of pain that had twisted her original purpose into something unrecognizable even to herself. And both of them experienced what the blood oath was truly meant to create: understanding beyond words, connection beyond physical form. Nixa released him, staggering backward. "No," she whispered. "This changes nothing. The dead remain dead." "But the living don't have to keep dying," Logan said, finding his voice again. "Your people are waking up, Nixa. They deserve a future that isn't defined by revenge." "And what future would you offer them? Betrayer's blood," Nixa demanded. But her tone had lost some of its certainty. "A choice," came Selena's voice. She had recovered from Nixa's attack and now stood beside the neural column, her hand pressed against it. "The choice you never had, Queen Mother." Around them, the stasis pods were opening. Varkari of all types were emerging, disoriented but alive, receiving the broadcast of truth that Logan and Selena had created. Through the ship's displays, they could see similar confusion on the station as Nixa's converted soldiers stopped their assault. The compulsion that drove them weakened by the Queen's own doubt. "They will never accept us," Nixa argued, but she sounded more wounded than furious now. "Humanity fears what it cannot control." "Some will fear," Logan acknowledged. "Others will learn, like I have." He looked at Selena, understanding now what had been happening between them since her arrival. The blood oath creates connection, but what we do with that connection is still our choice. Nixa stared at him for a long moment, then at the awakening Varkari around them. Her armor began to recede, the monstrous aspects fading, revealing her true form, still imposing, but no longer twisted by rage. "You are not him," she finally said. "You are not the betrayer." "No," Logan agreed, "and you don't have to be defined by his actions either." Nixa looked at her hands, as if seeing them clearly for the first time in centuries. 800 years of hatred, she murmured. "What am I without it?" "Free," Selena suggested quietly. "To choose your own purpose." The standoff might have continued indefinitely, if not for a new alarm that sounded throughout the ship. The displays showed multiple vessels approaching, HCU warships, responding to the station's distress call. "They will destroy us," Nixa said with certainty. "Your truth means nothing to them." Logan looked at the displays, then at the neural column. "Maybe not, but I think I know how to make them listen." With newfound confidence, he placed his hand on the column again, directing the ship to broadcast not just to Varkari systems, but on all HCU frequencies as well. The complete truth, humanity's deception, the genocide, the centuries of cover-up, and the possibility of reconciliation would be transmitted to every ship and station in range. "They'll try to shut it down," Nixa warned. "They can try," Logan agreed, "but some will listen, and some will question, and that's how change begins." As the broadcast went out, the three of them stood in uneasy alliance, watching the approaching HCU fleet. Whatever happened next would determine the future of both species, not through secret operations or ancient vengeance, but through the hardest challenge of all, facing the truth together. The aftermath of what became known as the Viridian Revelation unfolded over weeks and months, with repercussions that would echo for generations. The HCU fleet had indeed attempted to silence the broadcast, but it was too late. The truth had spread too far, reaching too many stations and colonies. Public outcry forced an official investigation into the historical records, confirming what Logan and Selena had revealed: the deliberate genocide of the Varkari race and the 8th century cover-up that followed. On Viridian 9, the immediate crisis had ended with Nixa's stand-down order to her forces. The converted humans could not be restored to their original state. The biological changes were too extensive, but with the compulsion removed, they were no longer hostile. Most chose to remain with the awakened Varkari, forming the nucleus of a new hybrid community. Captain Jex survived her injuries, though she was relieved of command pending investigation of her knowledge of Operation Blood Oath. Dr. Rook became the station's interim leader, her background in xenobiology proving invaluable in the delicate negotiations that followed. Logan found himself in an unexpected position, neither hero nor villain, but a bridge between worlds. The Hart family's centuries-long involvement with the cover-up made him distrusted by many humans, while his bloodline made him an object of complex emotions for the Varkari. Only with Selena did he find something approaching peace. Their relationship had evolved in ways neither had anticipated. The blood oath between them remained, but its nature had changed, less a binding and more a connection, a foundation upon which something new could be built. "What will you do now?" Logan asked her one evening, as they stood on the observation deck of the station, watching the Varkari warship where most of her awakened people still resided. Selina considered the question. She had changed in subtle ways since their first meeting, her movements less predatory, her expressions more nuanced. The warrior remained, but there was more to her now. "My people are divided," she replied. "Some wish to reclaim our old territories. Others want to find a new home, far from human space. And some," she glanced at him, "some believe we should find a way to coexist." "And you?" Logan asked. "What do you want?" It was a question no one had ever asked her before. Varkari society, for all its technological advancement, had been rigidly structured. War brides like Selina were created for a purpose: to bond, to fight, to serve. Personal desire had never been part of their programming. "I want," she began, then stopped, surprised by the realization forming within her. "I want to see more than battle stations and warships. I want to know what exists beyond the blood sector. I want to understand what it means to choose, rather than be chosen." Logan smiled, recognizing her journey for what it was, the same one he had been on since her arrival. "That sounds like a big undertaking. You might need a guide." Selina turned to him, those alien eyes now familiar, even comforting. "Are you offering husband?" The term no longer made him flinch. Instead, it had become something of a private joke between them, an acknowledgement of how their relationship had begun, and how differently it had evolved. "I might be," he replied. "My contract with Viridian 9 is officially over next week. I've been thinking about requesting a transfer to one of the deep space exploration vessels." He shrugged. "They could probably use a good engineer, and maybe a Varkari cultural expert." "You would leave your people?" Selina asked, genuinely curious. "After everything that's happened?" Logan looked out at the stars. I think maybe I need to figure out who I am apart from my family's legacy. 800 years of secrets and guilt. That's a heavy inheritance." He turned back to her. "Besides, someone needs to show the universe that humans and Varkari can do more than just try to destroy each other." Selina's lips curved in that not-quite smile he had come to recognize. "A noble mission." "More like a convenient excuse to see some interesting places," Logan countered with a grin. "But if it happens to promote interspecies harmony along the way, I won't complain." Their moment was interrupted by a comm alert. Dr. Rook's voice came through the station system. "Logan, Selina, you might want to come to the command center. We're picking up some unusual signals from the outer system." When they arrived, Dr. Rook was studying a series of readings with intense concentration. She looked up as they entered, her expression a mixture of concern and excitement. "3 more Varkari ships just dropped out of FTL at the edge of the system," she informed them. "Older models than yours, Selina, but definitely the same design." Logan felt a chill. More of Nix's followers. "Unknown," Dr. Rook replied. "They're not responding to standard hails, but they're broadcasting something on a frequency similar to your blood oath transmission." Selina stepped forward, studying the readings. "They're awakened sleepers," she said with certainty. "Ships that must have escaped the original purge, hidden in deep space." She looked at Logan. "They would have received our broadcast. They know the truth now." "And they've come looking for what?" Logan asked uneasily. Before Selina could answer, the comm system activated again. A face appeared on the main display, another female Varkari, similar to Selina in appearance but older, with elaborate markings on her pale skin that denoted high status. "I am Elder Sentinel Lyrae of House Varkari," she announced. "We seek the one called Logan Hart, the last groom." Dr. Rook glanced at Logan, who nodded his permission to respond. "This is Dr. Tamsin Rook of Outpost Viridian 9. Logan Hart is here." The Elder Sentinel's crimson gaze seemed to pierce through the screen directly to Logan. "We have received the truth transmission. We have witnessed the resolution between Queen Mother Nixa and the Hart bloodline. We come seeking confirmation." "Confirmation of what?" Logan asked, stepping into view. "That the cycle is truly broken," the elder replied. "That the blood oath has found a new expression." Her gaze shifted to Selena, who had moved to stand beside Logan. "Sentinel Selena Vire, you have claimed the last groom as husband." It wasn't a question, but Selena answered anyway. "Yes, elder. By choice, not compulsion." Something like approval flickered across the elder's austere features. "Then it is as the ancient texts foretold, when betrayal is answered not with vengeance, but with truth. The sundered bloodlines shall reunite, and from their union, a new path will emerge." Logan blinked in surprise. "There was a prophecy about this." "Not a prophecy," Selena corrected quietly. "A hope, written by the first architects of the blood oath, who feared what might happen if it was ever corrupted." The elder sentinel nodded. "We have slept for centuries, preserved by those who foresaw both the greatness and the danger of our binding technology. Now, we awaken to find the worst has come to pass. And yet, possibility remains." "What exactly do you want from me?" Logan asked directly. "Your presence," the elder replied. "Along with Sentinel Vire, there are other ships awakening across what you call the blood sector. Other Varkari emerging from stasis. They will have questions. They will need to see that reconciliation is possible." Logan exchanged a glance with Selena, seeing his own thoughts reflected in her eyes. The deep space exploration he had mentioned might need to wait. "And Nixa?" he asked. "What of her?" "The Queen Mother has requested solitude," the elder said, "to reflect on 8 centuries of purpose now fulfilled. Whether she will emerge to lead again, or choose another path, remains to be seen." Dr. Rook had been listening with increasing fascination. "Elder Sentinel, Outpost Viridian 9 would be honored to host diplomatic talks between your people and representatives from the human collective." The elder's expression softened slightly. "A generous offer, Dr. Rook. One we will consider. But first, we must attend to our own. Many who wake will carry the old hatred, knowing only the betrayal, not the reconciliation." "I understand," Logan said. "We'll help however we can." The communication ended, leaving the command center in thoughtful silence. Dr. Rook turned to Logan and Selena with a bemused expression. "Well, it seems your travel plans might be changing," she observed. Logan ran a hand through his hair, a gesture of nervous habit. "Looks like it. From maintenance engineer to interspecies diplomat. Not exactly the career path I had in mind." "You don't have to do this," Selena said quietly. "The blood oath no longer compels you. You could choose another direction." Logan looked at her, understanding the deeper question in her words. "The oath doesn't compel me, but it does connect me, to you, to this moment in history, to a chance to make something right that went terribly wrong centuries ago." He shrugged. "Besides, I did technically ask for a wife. It would be rude to back out now." Selena's eyes widened slightly, then narrowed with that hint of amusement he had come to cherish. "You still claim our binding was a joke, husband?" "The way it happened? Absolutely," Logan grinned. "But the results? Those I'm starting to take very seriously." Dr. Rook cleared her throat pointedly. "I'll just go prepare those diplomatic protocols, shall I?" She left the command center with a knowing smile. Alone. Logan and Selena faced each other in the glow of the displays showing the newly arrived Varkari ships. The future stretching before them was uncertain, complex, potentially dangerous, and infinitely more interesting than anything Logan could have imagined when he'd made that fateful joke during his maintenance livestream. "We should prepare to meet the elders," Selena said, ever practical. "They will have many questions." "Just one question first," Logan said, taking her hand in a gesture that had become natural between them. All those other ships waking up, they'll have more war brides, won't they? Ones who might also claim to be connected to the Hart bloodline? A complex emotion flickered across Selena's features, something Logan might have called jealousy if he didn't know better. Yes, the blood oath was designed to create multiple viable pairings within compatible bloodlines. Other war brides may sense your genetic signature and seek to establish a claim. "And how do you feel about that?" Logan asked, genuinely curious. Selena was silent for a moment, clearly navigating unfamiliar emotional territory. When she finally spoke, her voice carried a certainty that had nothing to do with biological programming. "They can ask," she said, the faintest smile touching her lips. "But I said yes first." Days later, as they prepared to depart for the first of many diplomatic missions to awakening Varkari ships, Logan found himself alone in his quarters, packing the few possessions he cared to bring. A knock at his door revealed Dr. Rook, carrying what appeared to be an ancient data storage device. "I thought you might want this," she said, handing it to him. "It's a complete copy of your family archives, both the classified materials and the personal journals your ancestors kept, including General Eric Hart's final entries." Logan took the device hesitantly. "I'm not sure I want to know more about him." "It's not about him," Dr. Rook said gently. "It's about understanding the full circle of your story. Did you know that after the betrayal, after his official testimony, he spent the rest of his life searching for survivors, trying to undo what he'd done?" Logan shook his head. "The official record just says he died in service." "He did," Dr. Rook confirmed. "But not in the way the Human Council reported. His last journal entry suggests he found evidence that some Varkari stasis ships had escaped. He was trying to locate them when his ship disappeared." "You think he found them?" Logan asked. "That he might have helped hide them?" Dr. Rook smiled. "History is rarely as simple as we make it out to be. Even the worst betrayals can contain seeds of redemption." She nodded toward the data device. "Read it when you're ready. Or don't. Your story doesn't have to be defined by his." After she left, Logan sat on his bed, turning the device over in his hands. Whatever it contained, confession, justification, redemption, it was part of a past he hadn't chosen. What mattered now was the future he would help create. He placed the device in his pack. Perhaps someday he would read it. Perhaps he would even share it with Selena. But for now, he had a ship to catch and a war bride waiting for him. One who had chosen him not because of ancient oaths or genetic programming, but because in the space between duty and desire, she had discovered something humans had known all along. The most powerful bonds are the ones we choose for ourselves. When Logan arrived at the docking bay, Selena was waiting. Her armor, once purely functional, now bore subtle decorative elements that reflected her evolving identity. She stood straighter, her gaze more direct, no longer just a warrior following programming, but a person making choices. "Ready, husband?" she asked, with that not-quite smile that had become precious to him. Logan nodded, shouldering his pack. "Ready, wife." Together, they stepped into the transfer pod that would take them to the Elder Sentinel's ship, and whatever future awaited them among the stars.